What is up, guys? My name is Lex. Day number 2 here in Dallas, Texas. This place is packed. Tons of people here ready to play. Let's get into the action. Let's go. Welcome back to the vlog, guys. We are still here in Dallas playing at Texas Card House. They're actually doing a tournament series here, so literally every seat in the building is full. We have to wait for about an hour to 2 hours to finally get our seat at 2.5, but after waiting, we sit down, buy in for $1,000, ready to play. Alrighty, first hand here we're going to go over, we have ace-5 of hearts in the cutoff. We raise it up to $25, $5 more than our normal raise size in Florida just because the stacks are so big. The big blind makes the call. The flop comes out ace, king, 8, 2 diamonds. We flop top pair here with a 5 kicker. Big blind leads right out for $25. What I've noticed when someone leads out, they usually have a middling top pair or something like a flush draw or straight draw. We have an ace with a bad kicker, so we can't really raise for value. We just call 25 going to the turn, which is the 9 of clubs. Our opponent checks. We put in a bet of $60 trying to get value from all straight draws, all flush draws, and also some king X hands. He pretty quickly makes the call for 60. The river is an interesting card. 5 of diamonds brings in the front door flush but gives us 2 pairs. So now we're beating hands like ace 10, ace 7, and ace jack. He checks it over to us and we're going to still go for value here. Even though the flush got there, we bet $200 going big. I'm hoping he hero calls me with an ace or possibly a worse 2 pair. He puts in the call for $200, shows king 5 offsuit for 2 pair. We have a better 2 pair, ace 5. So running good here for the start of day number 2 here in Dallas. This table is a little slow, but the table next to me looks like it has a lot of money on it with a lot of recreational players. So we make the switch over to that table before getting into a hand here with ace 7 of diamonds. Under the gun opens to 20. Hijack calls 20. We call on the button and the big blind calls, going 4 ways at the flop. The board comes out king 8-3 with 1 diamond. When it checks to us, we decide to start bluffing here. This board should not connect too well with everyone's range. No one really can have pocket kings except the initial raiser who checked, and there's not many 2 pairs on this board. We can turn a lot of equity with a diamond. We can also hit an ace for an overcard, so we bet $45, big blind and hijack calls. So our semi-bluff didn't really work here. We're looking to pick up some equity on the turn, which we do. It's the queen of diamonds. Now we turn the nut flush draw. The big blind now leads out for $80 on this card. The hijack pretty quickly folds, and now the action's back on us, and given the fact that he has about $1,000 remaining and he should have a very strong hand here when he's leading out on the turn into 2 people, I'm putting the big blind on king queen most of the time and sometimes some sets. I think he's got a pretty strong range here when he leads out on the turn. So we call, trying to hit a diamond, trying to win a big pot. The river comes out the 4 of diamonds. So we go runner, nut flush here. The big blind continues to bet. He bets 175. It's always nice when you bet the flop with total air, turn a flush draw, and then bink it on the river. We check back at our cards, make sure we still have the nuts. Yep, yes we do. So we're going to put in a raise, but we have to decide how much we should raise. The front door flush did miss, so we could bet pretty big here, trying to rep a missed flush draw, trying to get this guy to level himself, call down with something like king 8, king queen, or pocket 8s, pocket 3s. Yes, we have a great hand, but we also want to get called. So we don't want to bet too big like $900 or $1,000 and scare our opponent away. We want to bet a sizing that he will definitely call with. So we add $400 to the bet, raising it up to $575. As you can see, the big blind leans back in his chair, puts his arms across his chest. He looks visibly frustrated. He actually lets out a sigh and looks at me and goes, "Really, man?" Looks back at his cards, then back at me. He's going into the tank now, thinks for about a minute and a half. This player was playing pretty tight, so I was a little afraid he might hero fold 2 pair to me. He's looking at me, trying to get a tell. I'm just looking straight at the board, trying not to give off anything. He then starts counting out $400, thinking to himself over and over again, and after a minute decides he doesn't believe me. He doesn't believe this young poker vlogger guy from Florida. He puts in the $400 for the call. We show ace 7 of diamonds. We end up taking down almost $1,400 here with the ace high flush. Next hand, we raise it up to $25 over a limp with queen jack offsuit. Flop comes out jack 10 5 all spades. We end up checking this one back. Turn is the 8 of hearts. My opponent leads for $30 now. We make the call with our top pair and queen eye flush draw. River is a 4 and my opponent decides to keep betting here. He bets $55. My thoughts for checking back the flop here is I don't think I can get 3 streets of value with my hand on this specific board. So if I check back the flop, I can get value on the turn or the river or let my opponent bluff into me. So the fact that we checked back the flop, under-repped our hand, we have to make the call for $55. He shows us 6-7 of hearts, so he went runner straight on us. We got a little unlucky here, but I think we lost a minimum here. Top pair versus straight. We make one more table change to an awesome table here with a couple vlog watchers on it. We end up playing double board, PLO, bomb pots, every dealer change. I have no idea what I'm doing in this hand. King 9, deuce, deuce. We end up missing the flop completely, but the pot gets pretty big here. I'll let you guys see the action. On the turn, there are 3 players all in here for a pot of about $1,100. I'm going to let you guys listen to the live action footage that I have. A fan of the vlog and an Oklahoma poker player, Frank, ends up hitting a straight on the top and the nut flush on the bottom to scoop this big bomb pot here. Alright, playing with 4 cards was fun, but I feel a lot more comfortable with 2, especially when those cards are pocket aces on the button. Under the gun raises to $25. We 3-bet it to $75. He has about $300 remaining. He makes the call for $75. It's a little confusing what he's opening up under the gun to $25 and just calling with only $300 remaining, but hopefully he has a pair and the board comes low, or he has a hand like ace-queen or ace-king and he hits some of it. The flop comes out 10-10-3 with 2 clubs. He checks to us. We put in a C-bet, and unfortunately, he pretty quickly folds, so we don't get any more value here with pocket aces. Same player here under the gun raises to $35. Next to act calls 35. Small blind calls 35. We look down in the big blind at ace king of hearts. What a beautiful, sexy hand here in the big blind. We're going to 3-bet it. We're going to squeeze here big. We make it 205. Now the action's back on the under the gun player who decides all of his money's going in the middle. He ends up shoving for about $375. The other 2 players make the fold, and we call here $375 with ace-king, going to a flop, turn, and river. The dealer collects the money and puts out the board of ace-king-queen. We flop top 2 pair. Now my camera gets a little funky and decides to film the guy's hands next to me instead of the turn in the river. Either way, we take down this pot with ace-king, top 2 pair. Moving on to the next hand here, we're in early position. We look down at pocket kiggities. Just kidding, guys. Not going to use that name anymore. Last vlog, I called them pocket kiggities as a joke, and some of you actually thought I was being serious, which means the joke actually worked, I guess. However, we raise it up. The button calls, small blind calls, so we end up going 3 ways of the flop. The board is queen 5-6 with 2 spades. We c-bet $35. Looking back, I think I can bet a little bit bigger here. Any queen's going to call me. Any straight draw and flush draw is going to call, so I think a bet of 55 or 60 would be better. The button calls $35. The small blind makes the fold, and a little information on the button here. He told me a day ago that he usually plays 1-2 and he's taking shots at 2-5, which means his range should be a little tighter, probably not calling down super wide or getting too out of line here. The turn card is the deuce of spades, and before I bet, I see my opponent looking down at his hand to check for a spade. I don't think he'd be doing this if he had a flush draw on the flop and he hit it, so we bet $100. I put him on a hand like ace-queen with the ace of spades, king-queen with the queen of spades, or maybe pocket jacks with a spade in it, so I'm pretty sure I'm ahead here going to the river. The river is the 8 of clubs. This should not be improving my opponent's hand at all, so I feel pretty confident betting here with pocket kings on this board. I bet $205. My opponent looks down at his chips and pretty quickly makes the call. We turn over our pocket kings, and the button shows pocket queens for top set. Interesting play by this player, not 3-betting pre-flop or not raising on the flop, so it looks like we lost a minimum here with kings versus queens on a queen-high board. We then switch to table number 9, which is the deepest 2-5 table in the room. The stacks range from $3,000 to $8,000. We add on for another $2K. Now we have a stack of $6.5K. This is exactly what we wanted when we came to Dallas, Texas. There's an automatic straddle under the gun for $10 up to $25. This game is playing big. Everyone's got deep stacks. Let's run good. Let's win a big pot here. Unfortunately, I made a poker vlogger rookie mistake and forgot to record a hand I played with pocket jacks, so I'm going to show you guys a hand just like this. Automatic under the gun straddle is on. A limper calls 10. We make it $50 in the cutoff with pocket jacks. The button calls 50, small blind calls 50, and the straddler calls 50. So going 4 ways to a flop of jack, 10, 9, 2 spades, flopping top set on a super wet and connected board. My opponent's checked us. We put out a bet of $125. The button makes the call, small blind and the straddler make the call for $125, so my opponents are definitely not scared. Given the fact that we have top set here, we do block top pair combos for our opponents, so when they call here, I'm weighting them more towards flush draws, straight draws, or middling pairs here like a 10 or a 9 with a straight draw. The only player who could actually have a straight in this hand would be the button. The small blind would probably put in a raise if he had a straight on the flop, and the straddler would most definitely put in a raise after 2 calls and a bet. So I'm feeling pretty good about my hand here, going 4 ways to the turn in a big bloated pot here with top set. The dealer puts out the 10 of spades, which might be the best card in the deck, giving us a full house, but also bringing in the front door flush draw, and could also give our opponents trips if they're holding a hand like 8-10, king 10, or queen 10. So we're going to continue betting here when the small blind, the straddler, checks to us. We bet $300, and unfortunately, the big blind folds, small blind folds, and the straddler folds. But either way, we do end up taking down our first pot here at table number 9, the deep stack table. This next hand, we spice it up a little bit with a $20 under the gun straddle. There's 3 callers before we look down at pocket jacks again. We're going to raise this one up. We're going to squeeze big here. Already 3 people invested in this pot, so we make it $200. 10x out of position. Everyone's super deep here. We're going to charge them if they want to see the flop. Everybody ends up folding, so we end up taking $65 down here with pocket jacks pre-flop. On to the penultimate hand of the evening here. We have king-queen offsuit. There's an under-the-gun straddle to 10, 1 limper. We make it $60 with king-queen offsuit in the cutoff, small blind, straddler, and the limper call. So going 4 ways to a flop of king 5 deuce rainbow. Everyone checks it to me, and I decide to check this one back. There's really no draws on this board other than ace 3 or ace 4, so we decide to check back, trying to get value on the turn or the river. We could also induce someone to bluff into us, thinking that we don't have anything on this board because we check back on the button. In live poker, when people check, they're usually weak, and whenever they bet, they're usually strong. So by checking back top pair here, I basically make it pretty hard for people to play against me. They don't really have any idea where I'm at. The turn is a 7 of spades, and now the limper leads out for $110. I think for some time and call. I think about possibly raising, but I think it's better to just call here. If he's bluffing, he may continue to bluff on the river, and if he's betting a worse hand, I'll just call or potentially raise the river for value, depending on what it is. The river is the ace of spades, bringing in the backdoor spade draw and also putting a card that is higher than my king on the board. So now my opponent thinks for some time, fiddles around with his chips, and bets 405, so a pretty polarized sizing on this river. So I use the word polarized, and I'm going to explain a little bit more what I mean. I don't think my opponent is ever betting this size 405 into 470 with a 1-pair hand like king jack, king 10, or king 9. Let's say he has a hand like ace 3 or ace 4, which is a gut shot on the turn. He bets that as a semi-bluff, and now he hits top pair. He's also not going to be betting that big with that hand either, because he would be concerned that I have a better ace than him or that I hit the flush. We also have to remember that he limp called pre-flop, so he shouldn't have hands like ace-queen or ace-king in his range at all. So given the fact that he would never be betting this big with 1 pair, we have to decide what would he bet this big with. Well, I think he would bet this big with a flush if he went runner flush with like 5, 6 of spades, 9, 10 of spades, queen, jack of spades. He'd be betting pretty big. But when betting this sizing, he's basically saying, I have the queen high flush or the jack high flush. I'm not worried about you having a better flush than me. I have a really good hand, which is just really hard to make in poker. So honestly, I don't believe this guy at all. So the reason I use the term polarized is because that is what this bet size means. He's saying he has a queen or a jack high flush or nothing at all. And I don't think he would ever bet a 1-pair hand or even 2-pair for this sizing. So now we have to decide, is this opponent capable of bluffing? Will he be able to put in a $400 bet on the river as a bluff with total air? The answer to that question is yes. I remember this guy 2 months ago playing here in Dallas. He bluffed off $400 on the river in one hand, and then a couple hands later, he ended up going all in on the turn for $800 with a flush draw when his opponent bet and raised him on the turn. So he's definitely capable of putting the pressure on, putting you in tough spots. So with all that being said, I decide to make the call for $405. I want to see what this guy's got. We throw in a $500 purple chip to make the call. He looks at his hand and mucks, which means we don't even have to show our cards here to win this pot. This guy put us in a tough spot. After thinking for a while, it just didn't make enough sense, so we made the call. This guy is tough to play against. You never know if he's bluffing or value betting. The last hand of the night here, there's an under the gun straddle to 10. The same guy who tried to bluff us limps again. We make it $60 here with pocket sevens in the hijack. Everybody folds back to the straddler who calls and the limper calls. So going 3 ways to the flop, a 7 would be awesome. We haven't really flopped many sets on this trip. It'd be nice to cooler someone for a big, massive pot. We see a board of 10-6 deuce with 2 diamonds. We tried, but no set for us. But not too bad of a board here, flopping second pair. Our opponents check to us. We decide to check this one back, put in a little pot control. I think a small protection bet of $60 to $75 could work as well. The turn card is the 5 of clubs, and now Mr. Bluffs a Lot leads out for $75. We are beating his 5s, his 6s, his straight draws, his flush draws, and his total air balls. So we make the call for $75, and the other player folds. So we're going heads up here to the river. The river comes out the 6 of clubs, pairing the board, and now our opponent very carefully bets 1 black chip. So his sizing on this river now is totally different from the last hand. Last hand he bet a big bet, almost pot size. Now he's betting only 1/3 pot, which means he could be betting for value with a lot of hands here. So hands that he might be betting the sizing with are hands like a 10, like Jack 10 or 9-10. That's pretty weak, but he still wants to go for value. If he bet on the turn with a 6 and now he made trips, he might want to bet small so that I call him light. Given the fact that I checked back the flop, it doesn't seem like I have much of anything at all. He could also be betting a 5 here, sometimes like ace 5, 5-6, or 4-5. I also think he could possibly be bluffing. Maybe he decides to bluff small because last time he bluffed big, so it looks less like a bluff if he bets small. He could be trying to level me here, thinking that if he bets small, it looks more like a value bet and not like a bluff, so we have to put that into consideration. But we're getting such a good price here. I don't think I could ever fold to this guy, so I end up putting the call for $100. He shows 4-5, so he does have a pair. However, our pair is bigger. After the hand, he said, "Man, I thought I had you. I thought you had ace high." So looks like we got him to basically value on himself there, but I don't mind his betting there. I think I might call on the turn with ace high, but I'd probably fold on the river. But either way, we end up racking up after this, heading to the cage and cashing out. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed that vlog. I'm actually back here in Miami now. It's May 19th. However, I think I'm going back to Dallas, Texas Card House on June 8th and June 9th. Brad Owen and Andrew Neeme are hosting a meetup game through those 2 days. So I want to go there. I want to meet those guys in person. I also want to play with all of you awesome vlog watchers that may be coming to the meetup game there. I think it'll be a pretty cool experience. I've seen a lot of cool vlogs from them of how the meetup game atmosphere is like. So I can't wait for that. If you guys think I should go to that meetup game and you would enjoy playing with me as well, put a comment down below. All right, we're gonna go over our Texas Card House Dallas results here. We ended up playing 18 hours, won $2,050, so pretty profitable trip for us. We ran pretty good and got paid off in some nice spots, so can't wait to go back there. We are actually heading up to Hard Rock right now to play a 5-10 session. Not gonna vlog this one, just wanna relax a little bit, let the mind relax and just play some cards, not have to worry about filming, pictures, or anything like that. These vlogs do take a while. I make everything on my phone, which is pretty crazy. I don't have a computer, I don't have an assistant. I make all the edits, I do all the voiceovers, and I make all the thumbnails by myself. So it's a pretty hefty project, and it does take some hours and some time to do, but I really like it. I really like doing them. I like showing my journey and kind of letting you guys see what it's like to be a professional poker player around the country and in South Florida. So if you guys like this video, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. And until next time, I'll see you.